right, everyone. Hello, hello. Thank you all for your patience today. I know we're running a little behind schedule here, but we've got some fun things that we're working on for you guys. So we're just a little bit late today, but we're gonna go ahead and get started. You can already see the fun ombre design that we're gonna be working on today. So you guys, if you didn't check out our Discord server today, always make sure that you check on us there because we do announce if we're going live, when we're going live, and I also like to give you guys a little heads up on what products and things we're working with. So that way, if you want to gather all of your products and work along with me, you can do that and you have that heads up through our Discord server. So always make sure to check in on us at that point. All right. Let's get started on our nails, and today we're actually going to be going back to sculpting some gel nails today. So we're going to start with our prep, and it's the same prep that we would use whether we're working with acrylic, whether we're working with hard gel, gel polish, even with your full cover, if your full cover tips, you would still go through and do the same prep. So we're starting by pushing back the cuticles, and then we'll go into our e-file here. And I've got an old sanding band on here that I'm going to change out. So let me slide that one off. And I'm going to grab a brand new one. And you always want to make sure that you're using a brand new sanding band for every service, whether it's on yourself, whether it's on your trainer hand, whether it's on your clients. Always use a brand new one because that way you're going to have the proper grit to that bit. And it's going to file the nail properly. If you're working with, let me grab my old one here, an older sanding band that's maybe worn down a little bit, that's not going to give the nail the proper grit that it needs. So always make sure, change out that sanding band, grab a new one. We're going to turn our speed down to about 5,000 RPMs. I'm just going to move a couple of things out of the way here. There we go. So again, we're going to be working at about 5,000 RPMs. I'm going to work right up around that cuticle area, just working in short little motions all the way around that cuticle. And then I'm going to feather my bit all the way through, removing the shine from the nail, breaking up those surface oils, and creating just a little bit of texture on that nail. I'm going to check my side here. It looks like I've got a little bit of shine still right along that edge. I'm going to use the base of my bit. And then over on the other side, we'll use that top part of the bit, just to make sure that we've got that nail nice and textured. All right. Let's see. Somebody's asking, did I do aura and glitter on my nails? No, you guys, I actually just have glitter on my nails. So, well, it's glitter and gel polish. So I've got Baby Royal is the purple, and then on top of Baby Royal, I used Punk Rock and Dragon Fruit, I believe. So just kind of tapped a couple of different colors onto those nails to give me that shine. So if you're interested in working and learning a nail like this, we've got some videos here in our YouTube channel on glitter press, and that's exactly what I did on mine. It's a glitter press technique. So make sure to check those out here on our channel after we're done with our live stream today. And you guys make sure to also subscribe to our channel if you haven't already. I know a lot of you here are regulars to our channel, so thank you guys for all coming back and sticking with us through all of our different live streams here. But if you're new to our channel, make sure to subscribe. So I just went through and gave that nail a quick dust off, and then we're going to use our swipe. Now, swipe is our cleanser. I'm going to pump a little bit of that onto my manicure brush. And we're going to use this to really scrub that nail, really get that nail nice and clean, get all of the last little bits of the dust off of there, get any germs or bacteria off of that nail that may be hanging out on there. So we want to be nice, clean, dry surface. And you're going to notice that that nail does start to go back to almost that chalky look. And that's when you know that it's ready to go on to our next step. But if you still have a little bit of that swipe on there, a little bit of moisture on there, give it just a little bit longer to dry so that it is completely dry. Because when we put our protein bond on, we want to make sure that nail is nice and dry so it's not going to basically null and void the protein bond. So again, clean, dry surface, we're going to apply our protein bond, and we're going to start, I usually like to start right in the center of that nail, brush out towards the sides. And this way I'm not going to flood my protein bond into the cuticle area or into those sidewalls, because our protein bond works like an anchor. And wherever we apply our protein bond, that's where our gel or our acrylic or whatever product we're using, that's where that product is going to want to pull to. So we want to make sure that we're keeping that product away from the cuticle, but then also making sure that we're not getting product on the skin just for safety reasons, so that we're not going to lead to any irritations or allergic reactions and things like that. So make sure to start about halfway up, polish back towards the cuticle, and notice that I did do 2 coats of my protein bond. 2 coats is what I would recommend using when you are doing extensions and you're building and sculpting the nail. So with either a hard gel or acrylic, I always say use 2 coats of the protein bond. Now, because we're going to be sculpting today, I'm going to grab one of my forms and we're going to just peel that right off the back of the paper. I'm going to take that little tab from the center. Don't throw that away. You want to use that. You're going to stick that right onto the back side of the form. And that's going to give your form a little bit more of a firm feel and a little bit more durability. So when we pinch our form, we're going to pinch those 2 little silver tabs. So we've got a silver tab on either side. We're going to just pinch those 2 little tabs together nice and evenly. You want to make sure that they're not going on crooked or lopsided or anything like that. You want to make sure that those 2 tabs are going together as evenly as possible. And we'll just pinch that right down at the end. Now, we're going to be doing some nails just like these. We're going to finish the set on this one here. So we're going to be creating a shorter almond shape. So to create a short almond shape, I'm going to pinch my form. Actually, I'm going to open this up just a little bit, widen that up a little bit for you guys. I'm going to pinch the end of my form all the way shut. Now, if we were doing a square nail, I would leave that end open. But because we're going to bring this nail more to a point, I'm going to pinch that end to a point. That's going to help me to create that more almond shape. Or if you're doing a longer nail, you could create more of a stiletto shape. But just pinching that end shut. Okay. Now we also have a little perforation right at the top here. I like to open that up, so this way it's going to be a little bit easier when I try to put my form on. Otherwise, sometimes when that form is still together, you might struggle a little bit. So I always recommend opening up that form. Now I want to show you guys this from the side view. So when you're putting a form on, we're not going to just put that form just straight up underneath that nail, okay? The reason, well, a couple of reasons for that. First of all, if you just try to shove that form up underneath there, that form is going to poke into the client's hyponychium. That's that little delicate skin right underneath your natural free edge. And if we just try to shove that form up under there, it's going to hurt and it's not going to feel very good. So we want to make sure we're not just shoving that form on. We're actually going to start at a slight downward angle, bring that form right up underneath that free edge, and then you're going to lift up on the end of that form, and that form is just going to come right flush up underneath that free edge. Okay, so let me show you here from the free edge and from the actual view that I would be using. So I'm going to start, just like I said, right down from kind of angled downward, catch that free edge, and then I'm going to lift up, and that's going to bring my form right up underneath the free edge. Now, you guys, I want to show you something. Normally, when I put a form on, if I'm going to be building out that nail, I want that form, let me readjust here. I want that form coming nice and straight out from the free edge, okay? Now, with this nail that we're going to do today, we're going to be doing a shorter nail, so I'm actually going to pinch the form a little shorter, but I want you guys to see what happens to this form. What's actually going to happen is, right now, it's coming straight out from that nail, but as I pinch my form a little bit tighter, it's going to lift up on the free edge. So let me pinch that forward, or let me pinch that and I'll show you. So now you can see, kind of watch that little light reflection right there. When you pinch that, it's raising that form up at the end. So when I'm doing a shorter nail, I want to start by angling my form down ever so slightly. So that way when I pinch my form, it's going to raise up and it's going to bring that form still straight out, okay? So make sure that when you're working on those shorter nails that you do adjust and you compensate for that form so that you're not having a form, let me really exaggerate this, but so you're not having a form that's going up at that angle, okay? That's not going to give us the proper structure with our enhancement. So we want to make sure that form is just coming nice and straight out from that free edge. Okay. All right, I think we're good here. I'm just going to take a quick look to make sure that I don't have any gaps underneath here. I don't have any of that natural nail, or my form is right up underneath that natural nail, nice and firm. All right, I think we're good. So let's grab our gel. And today what we're going to be working with is our Concealer Peach in the Precision Applicator tube. And to go along with our Concealer Peach, we've actually got our Concealer Peach Base Gel. So this is going to be our base application. Now we do have a clear base, but when I'm working with the concealer colors, I like to use the coordinating concealer base. So that way I don't have that little bit of a thin layer of clear underneath. I have that color all the way through. But we're going to start with our Concealer Peach in the tube. And I'm going to grab my little ceramic tile here, and we'll grab my brush. And the ceramic tile I like to have just to make sure I've got a clean spot to wipe my brush on if I need to. And I'm going to just use a little bit of polish remover, clean that off so I know I've got a nice clean spot to wipe my brush on. All right, so again, we're going to grab our Concealer Peach. And I'll open that up. We're going to start by just building out our extension. And just want to readjust that form just a little bit. Okay. So when I'm working with the applicator tubes, I'm just going to squeeze out a little bit of that product onto my form right in front of that natural nail. I'm going to use the nozzle to guide that over from side to side. So just floating my product over from side to side all the way over to that sidewall. I think I'm going to squeeze out just a little bit more, bringing that all the way over to the edge. And then if I need to, I'll squeeze a little bit more. I think I need just a little bit more. Then again, I can use that nozzle to start to shape that free edge. Yeah, maybe just a little bit more. There we go. So using that nozzle to form that free edge, to shape that free edge. Now, if you aren't able to get your free edge perfect with the applicator tube here, that's where my brush comes in. So I'm going to make sure my brush is nice and clean. I can use my brush now to just float that product again from side to side here, making sure my shape is where I want it, making sure I've got enough product up into those edges. And if I need to, I'm going to clean out my brush. I'm going to turn my brush on the side. I'm going to use the edge of my brush, and I'm going to set that down on the form, and I'm going to pull my brush back, and that's going to pull my product right back up into this corner here. Got a little piece of fuzz on my brush there. I want to clean that out. We'll do the same thing on the other side. I'm going to use the edge of my brush, set that onto my form, and then pull back. Again, bringing that product right back up into that corner. So this way I'm not leaving a little notch or a little gap right in that corner. And I think I need to bring just a little bit more product over to the edge here. And just making sure that it is right up into that corner. All right, I think we're good there. At this point, we're going to put the nail into the light and we're going to freeze that into place for just a quick 30-second freeze. Now, when you're working with your gels, you want to make sure that one hand is going to be in the light, and that one's curing, and then you can be working on the other hand. So you're just going to alternate back and forth. Whatever hand is in the light, you're working on the opposite hand, and again, just alternating back and forth. Sometimes it does help to have two lights. If you're able to have two lights on your station, it's a great option there. But next thing we're going to be using is that Concealer Peach base. And let me come back in a little closer. So same color as the other product that we were using out of the tube. It's just a little bit of a thinner product now. And you always want to make sure that you're using the base on that natural nail. If you just went right into your Concealer Peach onto that natural nail, it's not going to have the best adhesion. It's going to be okay, but that base gel is going to have the best adhesion. So we're going to take our brush and just kind of glide over the surface of that, tap off the edge of it. Now you guys, I want to show you something. When you're working with gels out of the pot, you want to make sure that you're letting that little string detach. You see that little string there? A lot of times I see, especially new nail techs or newbies with the gel, they'll lift that gel out and then they'll just drag that little gel all over and drag that little tail all over the place. If you just go in there, tap it off on the edge, let it release, that's gonna keep things from getting messy, okay? So just a little bit of gel, and I actually think I don't need quite that much, so we'll wipe a little bit of that back in. I'm going to use my brush and we're going to brush that just like we did the protein bond, starting from the center of the nail, working out to the sides. So that way we're not going to get that product flooding into our cuticle area. We're not going to get that running off the sides and down into those sidewalls. Now with my base gel, I do use a good amount of pressure with my brush. You can see I'm really using some pressure, getting that product right down into all those little nooks and crannies of the nail. Now, one other thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to take just a little bit more of that base gel, so pick up just a little bit more, and I'm going to drizzle that right down in between where that natural nail connects to that free edge that we built. So the reason that I'm doing this is because after we cure this out, I'm going to take my form off and I want to make sure that I've got a good bond between that natural nail here and my extension. So I'm really just sealing that edge right through where those two are connecting. So this again is going to go back into the light for another 30-second freeze. And at this point, we'll close up our base gel. And I usually like to give my brush just a quick little cleanse or just clean that out right on my towel. My tile, not my towel. And the reason that I don't use towels with my gels is because that gel is very sticky. And if you start to wipe your brush on a table towel, a lot of times you're going to get little pieces of lint or fuzz in your brush. So that's why having just a little ceramic tile is going to make your life a lot easier when you're working with gels. And you guys, this is just something you can get at your local hardware store. It's not anything fancy, okay? All right, so that first layer with our extension and our base is cured. I'm going to take my form off at this point. So I'm going to just pinch that together underneath, make sure that that form completely releases, and then we're going to pull that form off. So this way, when I put more gel over the top, my gel is going to be able to cure now from the bottom up as well as from the top down. So having that form underneath there can start to block that, that light from getting through. So make sure to take that off. Now we're going to build up the rest of the structure to our nail. And you guys, I'm going to just wipe off that nozzle. There's a little piece of fuzz on there. I tell you guys, fuzz is probably one of the biggest challenges as a nail tech, is just keeping fuzz off of your nails. So we're going to start by squeezing out a good amount of my gel right at that cuticle area. Now I'm going to turn the nail here on the side so you can see exactly what I'm doing. I'm not, actually let me take that off real quick so you can really see what's happening. So when I squeeze my product onto that nail, I'm not actually touching the nozzle to that nail. I have it up a little bit higher. If you keep that nozzle on the nail, you're not going to be able to create a lot of thickness. So what we're going to do is, I'm going to see if I can show you this from an angle that I can work and show you the same at the same time. So I'm going to squeeze out that product, and you can see by keeping that nozzle a little higher or a little farther away from the nail, I can actually get a little bit of thickness to my product. If I were right down here on the nail and I squeeze that out, I'm not going to be able to get very much thickness. So you can see the difference between those different application techniques. Okay. Now, once we've squeezed out a good amount of gel by our cuticle area, I'm going to work in small circular motions. So if I'm trying to bring product to the left side, I'm going to work in a counterclockwise motion. If I'm bringing my product to the right side, I'm going to work in a clockwise motion. And all I'm doing is floating the applicator over my gel. I'm not actually pressing down into that gel, just floating, okay? And I'm going to start to float that product all the way down the length of the nail. If I feel like I need a little more product, I'll squeeze out a little bit more right in the center of the nail. Don't squeeze your product when you're off to the side. Sometimes if you squeeze too much product when you're off to the side, it tends to run down the edges of the nail a little bit. So make sure that if you're adding more, just add it right in the center there. And then again, just gliding that product from side to side in kind of an up and down motion or a back and forth motion, or even those circular motions. Whatever technique is going to work best for you to bring that product all the way down the length of the nail. Now, once I've got that product all the way down the length of the nail, I'm going to take my brush again, clean that out a little bit, and I actually looks like I've got just a tiny, tiny little bit almost wanting to come off the edge here. So I'm going to grab my orange wood stick and I'm going to make sure that that's not running off the sides. Now, you guys, I don't use my brush to clean that product off the sides. If you start brushing onto the skin, you've got gel in your brush and you want to make sure that you're not coming in contact with the skin. Because again, just like I had mentioned earlier, if you continuously get product on the skin, you're going to start to overexpose your skin to a chemical, and you don't want to do that. So I'm just going to go through and using my brush, just like I was using the nozzle of my applicator, I'm going to glide that product and just move that product into place where I need it. And just very gently, barely even touching the surface of that product, to gently move that all the way down the nail. I'm going to check this really quick from the side and then also from the other side and maybe down the barrel, just to see if I need to move my product anywhere to create more thickness or to thin it out. And then I can just gently move that product wherever I need it. And I think we're good there. I'm actually going to, now you guys, normally I would just pop this back into the light, into that full UV LED light, but I do want to show you guys something. So another option that you can use is our Touch Cure light. And this is a great light to use if you need to freeze your product into place or stop it from moving. All I'm going to do, let me readjust that, there you go. All I'm going to do is just hold that light about 6 inches away from the nail or so, and just enough to freeze that into place. And it's again just a quick way of stopping that product from moving. So just freezing that into place, and then I'm going to check my nail. Now, if we take a look at this, I'm going to take a look from the side view. I think I do have enough product on here. Let me get a little bit closer in for you guys to see. So if we take a look, I've got a good amount of thickness right here at my cuticle area, and I've got a good amount of thickness right through my stress area, and then my free edge is nice and thin and tapered. So at this point, I could add a little bit more, maybe right in that stress area, if my nail was a little bit longer. But because we're creating a little bit of a shorter extension, we don't need as much product right there through our stress area. So I think we're going to be okay. So normally, if I did need to add a little bit more product, I could just use my, my tube again, and I could squeeze, and you know what, I'm going to show you guys this just so you can see how to add more. If you need to, you can squeeze a little bit more right down that center area, right down the arch of the nail, and then you can use your brush to just blend that out. So if you do need to add more, you can add more, and that is totally fine. Okay? You always want to make sure that you build up the proper structure so that now, there we go. Now we've got a really good arch in that nail, and that arch is going to help to support the that extension. Okay? We're going to go into the light now. This is going to cure now for a full 60 seconds. So I'm going to turn my timer on to a full 60 seconds. While that's curing though, you guys, I want to show you, let me show you, I'm going to put a little dollop of our gel right on here. And I want to show you the difference between floating and brushing your product. So when you're working with a hard gel like this, you want to make sure that you're keeping your brush, there we go, that's a good angle. You want to make sure you're keeping your brush or the nozzle of the applicator. So if I was using that, you want to just stay right on the surface. Okay, same thing with your brush. You want to stay right on the surface of the gel. By moving over the surface, I'm able to keep that thickness. If I used a lot more pressure and was trying to brush that product on, do you see, first of all, how messy that's going to get? That's going to get all kind of gunky in my brush. But second of all, by using that much pressure, I'm not able to actually build thickness. But by keeping my brush over the surface of my product, let me show you one more here. But again, by keeping my brush on the surface, I'm able to move that product, but keep my thickness where I want it. Okay, so just keep in mind as you're working with gels, especially if you're somebody who is maybe used to working with acrylic, it's a whole different idea than acrylic. With acrylic, you're going to be doing more pressing of your brush and smoothing, but with the gel, you're going to stay on the surface and you're just going to glide over that surface. Okay, I always like to make sure that you guys understand how to use the gel and how to move it. Because this way it's going to be much easier. When I started doing nails and I started learning gels, I created a big old mess because I didn't know how to use it. So once you understand how your hard gels are going to move and work, it's going to be much easier. And somebody's asking, what kind of gel is this? You guys, this is our Synergy Hard Gel. So this gel is designed to build and sculpt extensions and enhancements. So we've got our nail fully cured out now. Now, once the nail is cured, it is going to have a sticky surface. That's just a slight layer of uncured gel, but everything underneath that is fully cured. Now, what we're going to do is take our swipe. This time I'm going to use one of our lint-free wipes. I'm going to pump a little bit of that swipe onto my lint-free wipe, and then we'll cleanse the nail. So it's going to take off that tacky finish, and then it's going to leave that completely cured out extension. Okay, now at this point you would need to go through and file out that nail, so you can file down all of those rough edges, get your shape in there, just like I did on these. And you guys, today I'm not going to take you through the steps of filing. If you need to see another video or a demo on how to file the nails, we've got over 3,000 videos here for you guys on our YouTube channel. So make sure you subscribe to our channel and then you can find those videos. But today, through the magic of the internet, I've got a nail that I'm just swapping out here for you guys. It's basically the same, same structure, same style, same shaping as what we just sculpted out. It's just this one is finished filed already. So at this point, let's go ahead and get into our fun design. So what we're going to be creating is some really fun summer aura looks. And I've got a few examples here, and we're just going to complete the set on this last one here. And then I'll show you guys all of the different colors that I used on there. But to go into our gel polish, after filing with your 150 grit file, you're going to dust off that nail. Make sure, just like we did when we were prepping, make sure all of that dust is cleaned off the nail. And then we're going to go back one more time to our swipe, same product that we've been using all along to cleanse. So we're going to pump a little bit of that onto our brush again. We're going to scrub through that nail one more time, get all of that dust off of there. If there's any oils or anything that you've been touching the nail, getting oils from your skin on that nail, the swipe is going to clean that off. So we're going to go back to that really nice clean surface, just like we did when we were prepping the nails. We're going to wait until that completely dries, and we're going to add one more coat of our protein bond. You guys, I always say, when in doubt, add protein bond. If you're ever concerned about your product chipping or lifting or separating or peeling or anything like that, protein bond is a great product to use to help with your adhesion. That's really its whole purpose, is to basically work like a double-sided tape. So when you brush that onto the nail, it's going to stick down to that nail, but it's going to leave that sticky surface for your product to adhere to. And this way we don't have to go through and do any buffing or anything like that. We just go right from our 150 grit file, cleanse with swipe, and then apply our protein bond, and now our gel polish is going to adhere really well. So first color that I'm going to be using for you guys today is Aquamarine 101, and this is from our ManiQ color collection. This is our 3-step gel polish. And when I say 3-step gel polish, I mean base coat, color, and top coat. Now, you guys are noticing I'm not actually using a base coat on my enhancement here. When I'm working over an acrylic or a hard gel nail, I generally don't use a base coat. It's really not needed. As long as you've got that coat of the protein bond on there, you're going to have great adhesion. And if you did use a base coat, chances are it's just going to add thickness to the nail, and it's not really even necessary. So we're going to brush on nice even coat here. And actually, before I do, I'm going to go back to my little tile here, and I'm going to put a little bit of that polish right on my tile. So this way I can grab, let me see if I can find it. I'm going to grab my micro detailer brush here, and this is just a teeny tiny little brush. And I like to use this if I need to get a little bit closer into my cuticle areas. I can use the micro detailer brush to get right up into that cuticle area. So just picking up a little bit of that gel polish that I put on my tile, bringing that right up. Now you guys notice that I still leave a tiny little hairline of space all the way around. This way my product is going to get a really nice tight seal onto the nail, and we're not going to have any issues with lifting or separation or that product flooding into the cuticle area. So just making sure got good even coverage all the way around, even down around those sidewalls. And then we'll go ahead and get that into the light. So that's again going to cure for another 30 seconds. And we'll do 2 coats of that, but then after that, we're going to be using our slick pour. Now, slick pour is actually, it's originally part of our dip system, but what it is an ultra fine acrylic powder. And actually, let me cap that one back up. This one that we're going to be using today is called Wine Flight. So it is a beautiful, rich purple color, great for the summertime. It's going to be super fun and bright, and that's what we're going to be using for our aura. Now, I think our nail is cured out for our 30 seconds. Let's go ahead and do a second coat of our color. So we're going to grab a second coat of Aquamarine, just like we did with that first coat, brush on. And notice that I'm brushing this on just like I did with the protein bond, starting halfway up and then working back towards that cuticle, just like I was saying before, to make sure that my product is not flooding into that cuticle area or down along those sidewalls. Just making sure I've got nice even coverage. Okay, that's going to go into the light one more time for another 30-second freeze, and we'll set that into place. Now, like I was saying, I've got our slick pour powder here. I'm going to move my tile out of the way. And then I'm going to grab a couple of different art brushes. Now, you guys, I say art brushes. Honestly, they're just makeup brushes. I've got 2 different types of eyeshadow brushes here, actually. I've got a smaller one and then a little bit of a larger puffy one. Now, first of all, you guys, make sure that you're following all of your local state board regulations for cleaning and sanitizing this. So make sure that they are clean and not something that you would actually use for makeup. These are my nail brushes, so make sure that you're not trying to mix and match these with your cosmetics, okay? All right, so our gel polish is cured, but just like our hard gel, it does have a tacky surface to it. We're going to use our little brush here, our eyeshadow brush, and we're going to set some of that acrylic powder into that tacky surface. So to get our cute little aura, that little circular aura, I'm going to just tap a little bit in, and I'm going to tap that right in the center of the nail, and then I'm going to work in a circular motion, just tapping that product down. So tapping in that circular motion to get kind of that rounded shape. I'm going to dust out a little bit of that. I think I had a little bit extra on there, and just pressing that down now. So that color from our acrylic powder is just going to grab onto that tacky surface. Now I'm going to grab one other thing here. This is our stamping tool, and I'm going to use my stamping tool, and I'm going to use that to just press that product down into that tacky layer. So it's going to help to smooth this out just a little bit. So just pressing that powder into that tacky layer. Now at this point, I do like to use my touch cure light. So let me grab that again. So same light that I was using earlier. I'm going to use my touch cure light, and I'm just going to set that product into place. So just like what we did earlier, I'm going to set that little bit of our acrylic powder into that tacky surface. So it's going to cure it on there, and it's going to hold that on there. So this way it's not going to smudge or smear when I do my next coat. Now, the next coat I'm going to use is our ManiQ Top Coat. And you guys, before I even go on to this top coat, we're not done yet. We're not done yet. We got a little bit of ways to go here. But if you haven't already, make sure you hit that subscribe button so that you can continue to get all of this fun education and all of these fun ideas. So what I'm using is our ManiQ Top Coat, and we're just going to seal this layer into place. So the reason that I'm using my ManiQ Top Coat is because it's a nice thin application. It's a nice thin top coat. Now this is going to go back into the light, and this time I am using that full UV LED light. I'm not using my touch cure light for this one. For this one, I do want to make sure that I am getting a full cure all the way through. Now, another reason that I'm using the ManiQ Top Coat, other than the fact that it is very, very thin, is this also does have a tacky surface to it. And I want to make sure that I have something that's got another tacky surface if I need to add a second coat of my powder. So I think we're going to do a second coat, but let's take a look and see. What do you guys think? Do you think you want it a little bit darker of an aura in there, or do you think you like that? Let me know in the chat. Give me either a thumbs up if you like it, or a thumbs down if you think we need, maybe not a thumbs down. Let's go with a thumbs down. Give me a thumbs up if you like it how it is. Let's go with that. All right, Lizzie says love it. Okay, sounds good. Anybody else? Looks good. Anybody else want to see an extra coat? Let me know. Darker, please. Got thumbs up. All right, you guys. Darker. Okay, well, all right, you guys. I'm going to show you darker just in case. But if you like it how it is, I would just go in and do one more coat of our top coat, and I'll show you how to finish it at the end as well. But just in case, if you do want to see how you add another coat, all we're going to do is just like we did with that first one. But because we have that ManiQ Top Coat that does already have that tacky surface, our powder is going to adhere right into that, just like it did into the color. So just take a little bit more, same thing, tap it right into the center, and then work that in a circular motion all the way around, and work around just to get that to blend out, okay? If you need to, kind of tap around those edges to just really get that to blend around the edge. All right, I think we're good there. We're going to go back to that touch cure light again, freeze that into place, just setting that into place so that we can apply our top coat without smudging it. So maybe for just, 20 seconds or so, 10 to 20 seconds, just to freeze that into place. And then let's go ahead and finish our nail. Oh, you guys, I forgot to use my stamper to press that down, but it should be okay. All right, so we're gonna go in and finish our nail. And you guys, if you are new to our channel, make sure that you hit that subscribe button. If you are a regular member of us, make sure to stay subscribed. And you guys, at this point, let's go ahead and start our top coat chant in the chat. So those of you that have been with us for a little while, you know what to do. If you're new to our channel, usually when we get to the top coat, to finish up the nail, we do a fun little top coat chant in the chat. You guys, I'm having trouble today. Chant in the chat, and you can just type top coat, top coat, top coat. And I'm gonna pop this into the light for another 30-second cure. Now, when this comes out, I am gonna do a second coat of our top coat. I was telling you guys earlier that I like to use the ManiQ Top Coat for this design because we're layering in a couple of different layers, but when we have that little bit of texture from our powder, you want to make sure that you're sealing that well so that you don't feel that texture. So this first coat of my top coat, that's going to seal that texture in, and then we're going to do a second one here, and this second one is going to give us that final nice high gloss shine. I don't know, you guys can almost see that little bit of texture that's on the surface there. So that's why we're going to put a second coat of our ManiQ Top Coat over this to really seal this. Now, you could use other different top coats. You could use the stain resistant top coat. You could use your Ultimate Finish top coat, whichever one you choose. But again, I do like the ManiQ Top Coat because this is a thinner top coat. You guys, if you're regulars here to our channel, a lot of times you guys know that I like to use the Ultimate Finish. Because the Ultimate Finish is a tack-free top coat, it doesn't have a tacky surface that you need to cleanse off. But this one is just a little bit thicker, so I'll show you here. You guys can see it's a little bit of a thicker consistency. So when you're layering in designs like this, this may add a little bit of extra bulk. That's why I like to use the ManiQ Top Coat, because it's very thin and it's not going to add extra bulk. Somebody's asking in the chat, what is the nail lamp that you're using? You guys, the lamp that I'm using right now, this is our Young Nails Bling light. And the other one that I was using, oops, this one was our Touch Cure light. And this Touch Cure light is just a single finger light, so you're only going to be using that to cure one nail at a time. And I really just like to use this one to freeze everything into place. I don't like to use this one for that full cure. I like to use the full UV LED light. Now, when your ManiQ Top Coat is cured, it does have that same kind of tacky surface that our gel polish does and that our hard gel does, but this is a soft gel. So with our hard gel, let me show you here real quick. With our hard gel, we used our swipe to cleanse this. When we're working over a soft gel, we want to use our ManiQ Cleanser. ManiQ Cleanser does not have any acetone to it like the swipe does. And if you use acetone over a soft gel, what can happen is it can actually start to dull the surface. So that's why we want to make sure that we're using ManiQ Cleanser to clean off that tacky surface rather than our swipe. So at this point, we've got a fun set of our Summer Aura nails. So again, you guys, let me show you the colors that I used. On the one that we did here on camera, that one was Aquamarine 101 and Wine Flight. And then on our yellow, let me grab those here. On our yellow, I used our ManiQ color Yellow Neon 101 with Head Over Heels. And that is a super bright neon-y pink, but it actually looks a little bit softer on that nail, just because it kind of blends into that yellow and gives it a little bit more of that kind of a corally kind of a look. And then on our third nail here, we used our Tangerine Neon 101 and Canary Zing. So that was actually, again, the yellow kind of blends in and actually it does give a little bit of an orangey corally kind of a look. And then on our last nail here, this one was Pink Neon 101 with Sports Fanatic. So really bright summery blue. So you guys, lots of different options for you. We've got all kinds of different ManiQ colors for your base colors, lots of different colors of our slick pour, so you can create your own custom auras on your nails. All right, you guys, if you haven't already, make sure to hit that subscribe button so that you can join us again next time. And thank you all for being with us today. I hope you guys enjoyed our lesson. Hopefully you guys will try this and make some aura nails of your own. If you do, make sure that you post them on your social media, tag Young Nails so that we can see what you guys are doing. And looks like somebody's asking, where can you get all of the products? Everything that I'm using here today is available at youngnails.com. Our moderators have that pinned in the chat there. So you can definitely check out our website, youngnails.com. If you are not in the US, you can still check out our US website, and we do have distributors really worldwide. So check out our website and you can find a distributor that is near you. So you guys, thank you again for joining us today. Hope you enjoyed our lesson, and we'll see you guys back next time. Thanks, everybody.